Hey, my friends, I was just about to leave the office for a nice round of poker tonight. If there's time, that is. Because first I've got to make sure that all our crew's time cards have been submitted and approved correctly. And you know what that normally means. A lot of emails, a lot of calls, a lot of messages, a lot of searching for information. And of course, there are different players and different levels, depending on the position and the access rights. And approval levels matter, just like the different cards and hands in a poker game. So there is a crew member that can enter times and submit time cards. Potentially, there could be a head of department and she can review her team's time cards. And of course, nobody is getting paid unless production says yes. And if in doubt, accounting always has the highest hand. So all that can potentially mean a lot of communication, a lot of back and forth and questions around a particular time card. So wouldn't it be nice if everything could be done in one place? Well, in Yamdu you can, because we offer an easy, secure, and almost game-like approval process. So here's another video for all you hardworking people on set and at the production office, and today's topic is approving time cards of production crew.
She works hard for the money, so hard for it, honey. She works hard for the money, so you better treat her right.
All right, let's get started and let's get right into Yamdu. So here I'm in the web application of Yamdu. I will go to time cards. So maybe some crew members have already submitted their time cards. Let's go to personal time cards. And I'm here, Doc Brown. I'm an accountant, so I have kind of the highest level of approval rights. But I want to check the time cards of Richard Smith of the grip and light department. So by the way, I'm also logged in here with Richard's account on my cell phone, so I can show you later on what all this looks like from Richard's, like the crew member's perspective in Yamdu's mobile app. All right, but first let's continue on the web application. So for Richard, we see he has already been entering times, and as you can see here in the approval progress, it's still in draft mode. So that's kind of the first status of a time card. So it can be in draft mode. Once a crew member has submitted it, it's obviously submitted and it appears for this particular crew member, or like the approvers below myself, in review. And then of course it can also be approved. There are also two other states, like for example being pushed back or declined, but we will take a look at this later. The same goes for paid. So in this case, I want to click on the comment icon and I see the comments. And actually I want to add another comment, and here addressing Richard, can you please submit your time card? Thanks. So for those comments, you can always be sure that only the specific user, or let's say owner of a time card, can see those comments. And of course, those other users in Yamdu in your project that have the specific approval rights. So at this point, let's maybe take a look at the structure of the approval progress of time cards in Yamdu. So there are always those four dots, as you can see here in the approval progress status column, or of course also in the window where you can actually take those actions. There is the crew status, and a crew member can always like enter work times, submit a time card, or ask for permission to re-edit a time card. Potentially there could be a department approval right. Again, you don't need to use this, but in case, for example, your costume design department wants to use the time cards to also review, edit, or bulk submit the time cards of their particular crew, for example, wardrobe people, etc., then you can use this. So it simply means you are just one step higher and you can approve the time cards for your department. And then, of course, there is the production approval right that could be, for example, for a production manager, for a line producer, to also take action and approve all the time cards of the production crew. And then there is the accounting validation. So that's usually the approval right of the accountants. And that's, as you can see, the highest of all these ranks. By the way, you can always click on Show History and nicely see the entire history like an audit log for this particular time card. So Yamdu is offering like full transparency. Everybody knows who has been doing what, who has been editing, entering times, changing the approval status. Everything is tracked and you can always see what has been going on. So let's switch to the cell phone, right? So we want to see all of this from Richard's perspective. And all right, let's go to the particular time card. We see the comment here. All right, and so let's do it, right? So I simply submit the time card, and then I can even respond to Doc Brown, to our accountant, at Doc Brown. Thanks for reminding. Here we go. And as you can see here in the mobile app, Richard can also clearly see now the approval progress because he has submitted the time card. So it's part of the review process. And of course, he can also access the same history log to see what's going on with his particular time card. So let's go back into the web application and take a look at Doc Brown's view, our accountant's view. So of course, if I go to the comment here, I see the comment, thanks for reminding, here we go, thank you, Richard. And I can also clearly see that you have submitted your time card. So we have this little icon here with the check mark in our approval progress. And of course, it's now not in draft anymore, it's in review because Richard has submitted his time card. So as I'm like the higher up, like I'm the accountant here, I can also edit the time cards. So basically I can change things or add things. For example, if I think Richard did a mistake, or for example, if I think I cannot wait any longer, right? I want to go to my poker game tonight. So I'm just entering the correct times. Like here, for example, if I want to enter different meal times, because I think Richard should have the same meal one start and end time as anybody else of the lighting crew, so maybe he did a mistake here, I can also edit the times in his time card. Now, what's important, you can clearly see that it says edited by Doc Brown. So this also shows you, same as with the history log, that everybody clearly sees in full transparency who has done what in a particular time card. So now if I go to the approval progress for this time card, I could say, okay, I've done some changes as the accountant and I skip all the things below. I just approve this time card. It now switches to approval progress with a check mark at the 4th level, because that's my level, the accountant level, or let's say in this case, Doc Brown's level. And as he has basically skipped all the other levels below him, it clearly indicates, accounting has made a decision and has simply edited the time card and approved that particular time card. Now, you cannot only approve, of course, like particular time cards, you can also approve like an entire batch. So we are offering weekly batches. They can start from a Monday, they can start from a Sunday, depending, of course, on your country and your production. But basically, it means you can bulk approve all the time cards of a particular weekly batch. And that's done here down below. And as you can see now, all the status and all the approval progress of all the individual time cards of those 7 days have been switched to approved. So what you see here now also for Richard, like in the mobile app, it says ask permission to edit, for example, for meal times or perks or for the time card in general. So what that actually means is that once like a crew member or somebody that is kind of in the approval progress has submitted a time card, this time card is locked for this particular person. So if you think, oh, I've done something wrong, there's a mistake here, right? Then you have to ask the higher-ups for permission to edit the time card again. So you don't have to call them, you don't have to write an email, you just click ask permission to edit, and then this will notify the higher-ups, and they can, of course, grant access and unlock that time card again for you. So, but what happens like from the perspective of the approver, like for example, the accountant or the production, if maybe they think they've done something wrong? Well, no problem, because you can always go like one step back. So let's do this here. Let's click on the approval progress. And then for my level, the accounting level, I want to say change time card status. And as you can see, it opens again all the options now. So of course I can again approve that particular time card, which is basically I just do the same what I've done before. But there's also the option for pushback, and there's the option for decline time card. So those options mean the following. If you think something is wrong, it has been entered incorrectly, right? And you want to push that time card back to the users below you, for example, to the crew member, to Richard in this case, you just click here. And as you can also see here, you can immediately add and write a comment. So this means that basically you're reopening the submission process, or actually the draft process of that particular time card for Richard, and Richard has a chance to correct something. So let's say, for example, you think, the meal start times, that's not correct, or you said we had a grace, but there was no grace, etc. But you want Richard to correct this, or the crew member to correct this. You basically say push back. So it opens the time card again for the users below, and then they can edit the times and then resubmit the time card. But there's also the option decline time cards. So decline means something else. Decline means there have been things that somebody entered. Maybe they said, I have like a paid hold day, I have a rep day, I had some certain per diems or whatsoever. And you say, no, this entire day does not count as a work day at all, for example. So you decline the entire time card. It will not delete or eliminate the day, but it just will simply say, this does not count. You will not get paid. This time card just equals 0 in our weekly batch, for example. So that's an important difference between the two options. So in this case, let's decline the entire time card. And you immediately see that's kind of red alert, right? Because of course also Richard now is getting informed, well, this time card has been declined. And of course, if I think, oh, that was my mistake as an accountant, I can also undo this. So no worries, if you think you misclicked, you can always undo your actions. So what we can also do in a more positive way, we can also declare that this entire batch has been paid. So now you see the status is nice and green, showing you paid, and that's how you can also let your crew members know, all right, this batch has been processed, there is like a transaction has been done, and you've got paid. Again, if you think that was a mistake, you can also say revert payment status. So again, you can always change if you have the access rights, if you have that particular approval level. So there you have it. No more wildcards in your time card approval process, as Yamdu is the ace in the hole. Oh shoot, I'm gonna be late to my poker game. I gotta keep going. And well, those might come in handy later on, right? So I'm gonna store them here. All right, so if you think this video was useful, please drop a like and leave a subscribe, because always remember, she works hard for the money.
She works hard for the money.